What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back. I say that because, well, Suspense After Dark had a first short run, and it wasn't pretty, right? We uploaded a bunch of videos because we got excited. It was not ready, and I'm super sad because we were like 4 episodes deep. But my OCD got the best of me. I couldn't let it go. I want to bring you guys awesome stuff. And so here we are. This is Suspense After Dark. I'm Spencer, and man, we've got stuff. We've got stuff lined up. During the 3 week hiatus, we sat down and we really thought about what we wanted to give you guys, and along with the movie reviews and the video games and like the whole horror genre, you know, community as a whole, we want to hit a little bit on each of that, but I want to give you guys an in-depth look at what influences a lot of these ghost movies that are coming out today. You know, Amityville Horror, Annabelle, It, right? There are always stories behind these classic movies. And I think it's important that you really get a full circle view of all that. So we said, how can we do that? So we've got a couple ghost hunts coming up and a couple of interviews with people that have been involved in paranormal things. Okay. I'm super excited for you guys to check it out and to really get a feel for what, you know, the horror elements that come out of just hearing somebody talk about it, you know, from a real life experience as opposed to having the Hollywood effects thrown on top of it. Not that that doesn't do great things, because it does, but just the vanilla stories are, they're terrifying in what some of these people have to go through. So I'm super excited to bring that to you. Late September, we're going to the Thomas House in Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee, which is just a small little hotel. This girl, Sarah, died a few years back. It was like early 1800s, so, or 1900s, so couple years ago. But some of her stuff is still in the hotel rooms. So I'm super excited to get down there and to check that out and for you guys to see that. And you know, I think it's kind of a cool backstory. Like, she died, and I mean, that's not cool, but they left some of her stuff up in the rooms, which if you're a good ghost and you're not messing with nobody, why not feel at home? Unless, see, here's the problem. Because if you're a demon pretending to be a fun ghost and then you trick two girls into letting you into their house and you live in their doll and then you torment them, Annabelle, that's what gives these friendly ghosts like Sarah a bad name. Anyway, I'm super excited about that. But that's like a month and a half, 2 months out. Let's talk immediate, because we got some good stuff coming up this summer. Mainly on the big screen, right? August 9th. It's here. It's this week, right? A couple days away. My favorite book from when I was a kid is finally getting its own movie. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I can't. I can't wait. I can't wait because, you know, first off, there's some nostalgia to it because it's a book from my childhood that I loved reading. My mom would read it to me, thinking it was a great idea before bed, and it's I was like 7 or 8. So those times and those dreams are probably why I'm as messed up now as what I am. But life goes on. Uh, it was awesome, right? Like the big toe and the red spot. These are all things that are in the movie, and they're all things that I remember just thinking would be the absolute worst case scenarios. I mean, yeah, like we had TV shows like Are You Afraid of the Dark, and you had Goosebumps, and then you had a little bit of the ballsier kids my age who were watching, you know, Tales from the Crypt. Which why is in an age where we are redoing every movie, why are we not getting a Tales from the Crypt remake? Bordello of Blood was such a good movie, man. And I remember a couple years back there was talk that M Night Shyamalan Mountains was gonna get the likeness for it and do it, but I don't know what happened with that. I mean, I'm not mad about it, but I'm kind of sad. Like, he ruined it for me with The Village. I never trusted another movie after that, and I just I don't know. Anybody else though? Anybody else could do it, and I'd be happy. Just somebody. Hell, if you're gonna do it, just M Night Shyamalan Mountains. Do it. Make me happy. Just don't put any unexpected cards in it. So, but I'm super excited for that to come out. I've been waiting. We've been watching trailers over and over and over again. All of my friends have heard me talk about it nonstop. So once it comes out, hopefully everybody will get, the reason why I love it so. At least I hope. Or it's going to do the opposite and it's going to bomb and I'm going to feel really embarrassed. But I won't because I'm going to stand by it because it's my childhood. But you know what's not going to bomb? September 5th. September 5th. For 27 years, he has dreamt of you, craved you, and he finally gets his chance again after the Losers Club. Bill Skarsgård returns as Pennywise the Clown. I can't wait. The trailers look so good. In the first, there's 2 trailers that have dropped. And in the first one, we get to see Beverly interact with Miss Kirsch, which is terrifying because it really plays off of Beverly's childhood horror, which was Hansel and Gretel. She absolutely hated it. They talk a little bit about it in the book, and it was good. Like from the cookies in the oven, Miss Kirsch gives this like weird story about her dad coming over and working for the circus, and then you get to see a man who looks just like Pennywise on the mantle. It's just good. And then the whole like, no one who dies in Derry really ever stays dead. It was just weird. The long pause in the stare, like it's deep. It's deep, and the thing with it was definitely, I don't know if I want to say it was my favorite movie growing up, though Tim Curry terrified me and I loved it. But it was definitely in my top 3, 100%. It was probably in my top 2 between that and Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, it was great. But it stuck with me for so long because, as I grew up, obviously I read the books. I started getting into the Dark Tower series, and you kind of read about the Guardians and this and that, and you find out that Pennywise is actually this Deadlights creature. And it's kind of where it all starts, is in this unknown universe. Him and there's this turtle, right? And him and the turtle hate each other. But they go at it and they argue back and forth, and then Maturin is the turtle's name, throws up our universe because he has a stomach ache. And that's where we all come from. Pennywise comes down, crashes into Earth as an asteroid in some catastrophic event, which a catastrophic event happens once the murders start every 27 years to bring back it. And that's what we see in chapter 2. You get a little bit of it, and I don't know if you haven't read the book, maybe you didn't catch up on it, but we do get to see a look at Adrian Mellon, who in the book was the little gay kid who was beat up and killed. He was thrown off the bridge. And that was the signaling for it to come back. That it must have been 27 years when the Losers returned to Derry. And you see him down in the sewers. He's like trying to like hold up for breath, and he's trying to get above the water, and you just see Pennywise staring at him. It looks awesome. I'm glad we bring that back. It seems like they brought the lumberjack comes back that attacked the kids the one day. So it's really cool to see how true they're staying to the book. But that being said, I'm kind of concerned for Beverly. Because Bev, in the Losers Club, Bev had it the worst. Man, she, obviously had an abusive relationship with her dad, had an abusive relationship when she got older with her husband. And there's a chapter in the book where it like is pretending to be her dad, and he's telling her why he beat her. And I don't want to get into it because it really is a touchy subject, and I mean, it's vicious. But it really puts into perspective just how evil Pennywise really is. And he is evil, but it was just bad. That, and then you see him torment Bill in the funhouse with the mirrors. You see Bill running to the funhouse, and obviously, I mean, you can almost hear Admiral Akbar in the back yelling, "It's a trap!" Right? Because he runs in after the kid, he gets trapped up in the mirrors, and you see him run full on, boom, straight into a mirror, and he sees this little kid on the other side of it. Pennywise is there too, and he's like down like in this dog thing with his tongue hanging out, and What's sad for Bill is that obviously, like the little kid, I mean, the whole thing happened with Georgie. I mean, it really sucks that while Pennywise can't attack adults or doesn't choose to, he's still going to torment the Losers Club. Because not just the mark that Pennywise had on the kids, but on the mark that they had on Pennywise. Like, that was the first time I think that anybody had really stood up to him. And he's like, holy shit. One-on-one, I'm terrifying, but against a group of people, don't stand a chance. So I think this is really going to bring out what's so bad about him. But yeah, August 9th, Scary Stories. September 5th, Chapter 2. It's going to be a good next couple months. A couple other honorable mentions. Stranger Things. Look, if you haven't watched it yet, I don't know how. Like, it's been out now for, a month and a half? You get on it. It's so good. But that being said, this is my spoiler alert to you because I don't want you to get mad at me and think that, I'm trying to ruin the whole thing for you. But I am trying to ruin the whole thing for you. Because you're irresponsible. Get on it. Watch it. Is it off? You good? Anybody that's here seen it? Right? Awesome. I tell you, Steve and Dustin. Steve and Dustin are my favorite. They're my favorite duo since Blunt Man and Chronic. Hey, speaking of Blunt Man and Chronic, we're getting a Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back reboot. I'm not talking about it right now. This is all Stranger Things, but we're getting it. It's happening. Kevin Smith. I can't wait. But the lightsaber battle that happened in the Scoops Ahoy with those two was epic. I'm really glad that we got to see Dustin's girlfriend. Because from the beginning, you're like, oh, Dustin's just sad because everybody else has a girlfriend. No, we get to see her. I still don't know the comparison to Phoebe Cates, whatever. But they sing a duet. They sing a duet that me, my friends, none of us can get out of our heads, and we constantly sing it, even though it has a dark and horrible backstory. You killed Hop. I can't forgive you for that. We have one more season because they said the kids are growing up too fast and next season's going to be it. But first off, bring Hop back. Please bring Hop back. I know you can't bring Alexi back because he was shot, but Hop, I know it was him. We all know it was him. Don't toy with our emotions. Don't make it somebody stupid. Please bring my boy back. Yeah, talking to you, Netflix. Listen, what I've gotten, though, is that if you have 3 letters in your name, stay away from Joyce Byers, right? Because you're just, Bob. When they first started talking about Bob in the beginning, well, they didn't talk about Bob a whole lot, but like they were showing like the pictures and we were going back to the map and I thought Bob was going to come back. I didn't know how, but I thought they were going to get him. I'm like, the Demodogs didn't get him. Hey, he's coming. No. It was bad. And I don't know. Joyce is killing my favorite characters though. Joyce herself is like a Stranger Things George R.R. Martin. Taking my favorite characters and blowing them. But, as far as the season went, I wasn't mad. I was pretty happy, though I found myself not nearly as scared from the Demogorgon. Billy's whole demonic takeover thing really didn't do much for me. But the character development was sweet. I did enjoy it, and I'm glad that next season is the end. Just with the way things ended last season and what we saw through this season, I'd rather have it end short and on a good note than just drag out forever and do what it's gonna do. I did start watching Typewriter as well, which I've only gotten like 5 minutes into it because I've been super busy, but I'm excited to see how that turns out too, because like the very first 5 minutes, it had me hooked, and I definitely want to go back. So if you checked that out, the next couple of weeks we'll talk about that. 2020, man. 2020 is going to bring us The Haunting of Hill House, and I'm super excited for that. Well, season 2. The first season was really good. I watched it through twice because the first time I was pretty disappointed just because I was expecting a lot more than what I was getting. And I thought it was going to be a jump fest all the way through. I didn't really take the story into consideration. I mean, we got to see the whole Betneck lady within the first 2 minutes of episode 1. And then That was really kind of it. There were a couple things at the funeral home that were creepy, but it really did have a good story. I was kind of a fan of the whole Red Room thing, you know, bending in everybody's will. Um, it was all really good, but Mike Flanagan is by far Netflix's most valuable badass. He did Gerald's Game, and that movie was intense too. Like the dog, the heart attack from the kinky sex. Like boy just couldn't handle it. The internal battle on what to do, what not to do, what's gonna work. Like it was a really good. That was a really good movie all the way through. And if you haven't seen that, go check it out. Too late for a spoiler alert, but some weird things go down. He also did Oculus, which has like biggest childhood, my second biggest childhood crush. My first biggest childhood crush was Ksenia Sola. She played Kinsey in Lost Girl, and whew, I loved that girl. I didn't even like the show. I didn't even watch the show. My roommate was watching it at one point, and I just liked her. Could have been the worst show in the world. But Karen Gillan from Doctor Who, her and Matt Smith, they're the reasons I got into that show. Her more so because I saw her in some clips and I was like, wow, she's kind of cute. So had me hooked from that. And then, yeah, Matt Smith, talk Peter Capaldi all you want to. You're wrong. You're wrong. I don't care. You're wrong. Fight me. But he has a few movies that have hit well. Hush. Mike Flanagan did Hush, which was the creepy movie with the guy in the white mask who was tormenting the deaf girl in the house in the woods. I've never tried to put myself in a scenario where I was deaf and was helpless, but that has got to be the worst. Like, you can't hear. He literally could walk up behind you and kill you. What are you going to do? You're deaf. It sucks. God, that was horrible. But I think his probably biggest hit of his career is yet to come. He's attempting to stand on the shoulders of Stanley Kubrick and direct Dr. Sleep, which is a sequel from The Shining, which ultimately was a Stephen King book. Stanley Kubrick, I thought, did that movie so right. And now here comes Ewan McGregor back as Danny Torrance, who's this older guy, and now there's a whole like bunch of people that have The Shining, and it's crazy. All I want to know is if we're going to get to see Jack Nicholson come back as Jack Torrance. Is it too much to ask? I don't think so. I think that would be because you get to see Danny, like, he gets sucked into, like, the hotel room where they were all at, and he gets to look through the axe slashing the door, and I'm super excited. I have so many questions and so just little time. But there's so much time. Shoot, so little time to ask these questions, but so much time till the movie comes out. Shit. Making us wait forever. But it's going to be a good, we're lined up between Scary Stories, between It, season 2 of Haunting Hill House. Almost said House on Haunted Hill. I was like, that's definitely not right. We've got a good lineup. The Typewriter that just came out is going to be, that looks like it's going to be a good movie. But let's talk about some fun stuff. Some real life fun stuff, right? So when I was younger, I lived in a house that had the layout of a haunted house, like straight out of the 80s. We had a giant bay window that looked out into a huge backyard. We were on surrounded by acres of woods. There were no streetlights, and we were the last house on the street. We were on the right. We weren't on the left, so I feel like that's an important tidbit. But we had this attic that I had in my room that I swear to God would talk to me late at night, but maybe that's just overactive child imagination. I don't know, but that was right in my bedroom, so that didn't help. And my uncle terrified me with a Chucky doll and some weird stories. So my childhood was creepy as it was, but just the origin story of the house is weird enough. But these are typical, like, holiday conversations amongst my family and I, at least with my cousins and my grandma and my mom and that. But something that I've noticed, and what really tends to bug me, is that these stories don't change. Like, a lot of times when somebody's trying to tell a story, they're trying to embellish it, especially when it's from, like, younger years, and it's a lot of people go back and forth on what happened, but these stories didn't have that. whether they were friends that had come over that have witnessed their own thing, whether it was our family, whatever it was, the stories have had consistency. And I guess that's what bugs me, because I guess that gives a little more validity to them. Super weird stuff, man. One that really my grandma used to tell one about my mom's boyfriend lived with us. There were like 7 of us in the house. There was me, my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, my aunt, my uncle, and then Brian. So yeah, so 7 of us, right? And my mom's boyfriend he was a cop. He was on the midnight shift. And one day my grandma's downstairs and she's rocking me, doing the rocking thing. And he gets up, gets dressed. He took a shower before he would go to bed. So he'd get up, get dressed, grab his keys, walks downstairs, walks out the door. Heard the door slam, door locked, he locked it. And my grandma says bye to him. He doesn't say anything, which, was kind of whatever. He just woke up. He's groggy, he's tired, he's, late, whatever it may be. My mom comes upstairs from the basement and says, I'm going to go get him up. And my grandma's like, don't worry about it. You already left. So my mom goes upstairs, comes back down about 5 minutes later and says, he's definitely still upstairs sleeping. So, okay, sure, we heard some noises, we heard some things, we thought it was him and it wasn't. Life goes on, right? Kind of. Well, it does, obviously. I'm here, but over the next couple years, more and more strange events started to happen. I'm getting older, so I'm like 9 or 10, and I'm more aware of my surroundings, so I start to kind of pick up on things that were strange. And I vividly remember this shadow man, as I would call him. I don't know what it was. It was just this shadow that I would catch like out of the corner of my eye. And we didn't have pets. We didn't have anything like that. So, there were times when it would literally be, I'm home, my grandma's home, and that's it. And my grandma's in the kitchen, and I can hear her in the kitchen, and I'm in the living room. And then all of a sudden, you would see something go by. But I was convinced he was there. But one night, this whole idea of a shadow man proved itself more real than what I would have ever thought. We were all in the living room. It was like me, my aunt, my mom, whatever. We're all just hanging out and probably watching like the Wild Thornberrys or something because it's late night Nicktoons. And out of nowhere, now mind you, the carpeting, it was like, 3-inch shag carpeting, right? So like we had these doors that if you ever had shag carpeting and you got a door that sits flat, you kind of got to push into it. Well, we had these doors that you could not get open. Not because of the shag carpeting, but because just trying to get the seal open from the doors was, my grandpa and my uncle were fairly big boys, and they could barely get it open. But we're all sitting there one night, and out of nowhere, like it's just raining outside, it's a storm, but these things just blow open. And I was gone. Like, I remember running out of that room. Here's why I remember. I ran out of that room and into my grandma's no-go room, which was this room with super nice furniture. Nobody really went in there. It was like a decorative thing, right? Well, I was in there because I used to hide my food in there because I never wanted to eat because they would they would give me a lot of food and I didn't want it. So I'd get yelled at if I didn't eat it. Also, I'd go hide it. Made sense. So I ran in that room when the doors bursted open, but I was like, oh shit, this is where all the food's at. So I ran out of that room and ran upstairs. I was more terrified of getting in trouble by my parents than I was of, ghostly appearances. But yeah, that whole night was crazy. But the shadow guy, like he made an appearance more than, just around us. Like he'd be birthday parties, holidays. And as we got older and some of our family friends would start to talk about what they had saw. So that was another really scary part about all this is it wasn't just us, it was other people that would come over and they would talk about it. But we had one lady one night, early afternoon, 2, 3 o'clock, right? This lady comes and she's just sitting in front of the house. And about 45 minutes goes by and my grandpa gets out and, asked her, he was a mechanic, so he was pretty handy with cars and that. And asked her if she had a problem or needed help, whatever. She said no. She asked if she could come through the house. Knowing what I know now, this is the start to like every bad horror movie I've ever seen, right? But she asked if she can come through the house, and my grandpa's like, hey, come on up,
Comes on in, goes through the house, doesn't really say much. My grandma, my grandpa, nobody really says anything. Lady's like, thanks, walks out, leaves. Never see this woman again. Who does that? Other than
what happens when a lead character sells a house they know is haunted to somebody else? Most of the time they come back, they ask a couple questions, is that they leave, they go and walk off into the river and drown themselves, or some other form of just horrible suicide. They drive cross country and never hear from them again, or they end up being the scary thing that is in the house. One of those three things happens and all three of them are equally terrifying. No thanks. But I do wish that they would have asked her what was up or if they had known anything, because it doesn't give me any sort of answer to the questions that I have about the house. And until I get them, I'm going to assume that house was just haunted as shit. But we'll never know. But it's like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know what the feelings are in ghosts or in hauntings. I don't know what makes the noises in the night, right? But I know all those things are there. And I know that other people know those things are there. But no one really knows what they are. Are they ghosts? Are they demons? Or are they something else? Be sure to tune in Wednesday to find out what else maybe it could be. We're going to talk about all sorts of fun stuff. We got aliens, UFOs. Really going to talk about just how alone we are in the universe. Or are we? I don't know. Be sure, guys, thank you for sticking around. Like us, share us, do what you got to do, but most importantly, just stay scared. Peace, guys.